semester for 6th or 11th grade at Founders Classical Academy of Frisco. And I'm glad to be there. This is my first year with them, and they're just a beautiful team. Love Jennifer and Syra, who's my colleague there with assistant for K through 5. And I have 2 deans, and they're great. They've been helping me kill this learning curve. And it is a learning curve on top of all that has happened and all that is happening in the world today. I am a family man, as you can see. I draw energy from being around people until I just get tired of them, then I leave. But I draw energy from being around people. And my wife says it best. She was like, "You really like people." I was like, I do like people. I love to see the smiles. I love to see the concern. I love to see your compassion. I love to see what you're good at. I love to see your gifting, your talents. I love to see all that, and I like to get behind it. I like to push it. And that's one thing that I love about relationships. Relationships do one of 2 things, or both. They add to you, or they subtract from you. Take a quick moment and think about relationships that have added to you or have subtracted from you. I am the person I am today because of the relationships that has added to me and has taken away from me. What side are you on in the relationship circle? Are you adding or are you subtracting to this relationship? All right. So I don't want to, I know it seems like we're jumping deep in, but we're not. We're going to come out. All right. All right. Shake up. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, are we going there? I know we're in a church. What am I supposed to do? No, I'm not going to make you stand up and come to the front. And, I'm not going to do all that. It's all good. But relationships have the ability to grow a community. Healthy relationships have the ability to grow a community. And that's what we want to do with our schools. That's the end goal. We're growing our community from the inside out. We're growing our students. We're growing our teachers. We're growing our families. We're growing even those in the surrounding areas of our schools because of the relationships that we cultivate. So, what we're going to talk about today is how you can become a broker of resources. Because that's what a relationship is. It's embedded with people that have resources that are generous in their giving. Have you ever been around somebody that, like, they how would I say, they have the things that you need, and they say they're your friend? Like, I don't know if we're really friends if I'm in need and you have it and it's not reciprocated. I'm there. Are you really there? A broker of resources, educationally and socially. Let's start off with this question. Why should we cultivate this thing called parent and teacher relationship? Why should we do that? Why is it so important? Why do we talk about this in our school? What is the nucleus of this? Hands, and you can share.
For the benefit of the child, we're really in partnership with the parents to benefit the child.
Yes, yes. Can I get somebody to piggyback on that?
They're entrusting us with their most prized possession.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
To reinforce what you're teaching when they get it at home and they get it at school, it's reinforcing that concept or that value.
Yes, yes, definitely reinforcement.
It takes a village to raise a child, and to go along what she said with partnership. It takes a whole community, and that leads back to what you were saying. We build community with relationships.
Yes, definitely partnership, and we're building together. We're building together. We're improving children's academic achievement, social competency, emotional well-being, and their behaviors at home. Believe it or not, you are a part of their family now. You are a part of their family now. Now, there was a time, and I'm going to poke the bear a little bit, and this is just my own sidebar, but I grew up in the 80s. I grew up, believe it or not, I know the way I look, it probably doesn't seem like that, but I grew up in the 80s, and a lot of components and support that they have in school now, they didn't have it then. And I would like to say, on the positive side, it wasn't needed, because the morality and the virtues were being taught in the home a lot more. It was not being left to the students to learn, but the adults in the home were actually teaching that. So I've never heard of a parent-teacher relationship component to a school, or family involvement, family relations, family outreach, family engagement. I never heard of those things in the 80s per se. Of course, parents would come out and we do events together and activities and things of that nature. But now it seems like there has been a dire need for parents to be a part of that educational process, even though to me it seems that it was innate from the beginning. It's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be there. But it benefits everyone, not only the child. It benefits the parent, and believe it or not, it benefits you. So this is not something that you're just giving, but a relationship is reciprocal. But just a footnote, you cannot make a withdrawal where you did not make a deposit. You cannot make a withdrawal where you did not make a deposit. So as a teacher, as an admin, as staff, we have to remember that our families are that place where we can plant these resources that we have. We can plant this idea of connectedness, letting them know that they are a part of the educational process. So let's look at some of the benefits of a student. The student's benefits are they become motivated to learn. I mean, my dad motivated me to learn. And I'll leave it right there. Behavior improvement. Yes, my behavior improved. I would dare to say that I was a student that was gifted at disruptive behavior. Yeah, I should have been in the gifted class, definitely. And to this day, I work with students of that nature. Attendance. Attitude changes about the school. Believe it or not, when parents become a part of the educational process, the student really start seeing the school as something beneficial to their lives because their parents see it beneficial. Parents' benefits. They have the ability to help their children. Some parents are unlearned as it comes to the educational process, and it's up to us to help them. Simply help them. Help them to understand. Give them clarity about what's happening. They feel welcome on the campus when they come. That's a whole nother thing. Some parents don't come to the campus because they don't feel welcome. They don't feel a part of what's happening on campus. Decreased anxiety about the classroom. Knowledge of the educational process. They want their students to do well, but they need someone to help them to understand. And again, that's where we come from. Here are your benefits. Free to focus and teach. Free to focus and teach, meaning that you are able to administer this lesson, administer a connection with your students without the struggle of resistance. Like the student doesn't want to be there, or they feel some type of way because of something that happened at home, or there's all sorts of a gamut of things that come to separate you and the student and separate you and the lesson that you're trying to teach. So we have all these components in the room, but we want to bring that connectedness, and that's what this relationship piece brings. It brings you the ability to be free to teach and not have to worry about those things. Understanding student needs. I love this part here. It's time to go swimming for some of us. Time for us to go swimming in the sea. And I know it could be uncomfortable. The social parts, the emotional parts, and the academic parts. That's the sea that we're swimming in. And it's important for us to take it all in and research it, study it, get with people like what you're doing right now. It may be uncomfortable, but I promise you that it will benefit you on the back end. It may be a little work on the front end, but it's going to benefit you on the back end because now the student and the parent are connected in this whole process. So a lot of the foundation that you may have to build or rebuild, you wouldn't have to do that because the parent will be echoing what you're saying because y'all have that relationship. Parent builds trust with the school. Your confidence grows. Your confidence grows. You can walk into class and you have to worry about this student over here, being a little troublesome, and then try to take it home and be like, oh, Mom, this is what happened. That teacher don't like me. And okay, we'll stop there. You know where I'm going with that. But how do we get to this whole cultivation piece? Where does it start? Where are we going with this? Well, we start with us. You are the initiator of this relationship cultivation. Yes, you. You are the resource. You are the broker. Parents come to you. They want to know what's happening. Can you help me understand this process? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? What is my child doing here? I don't understand this homework. I don't understand this assignment. I don't understand this activity you have them doing. Could you help me with that? You are the resource. Now, that's inside the classroom, but then there are other things that happen just in their family in general. Somebody's sick. Somebody just passed away. Lots of things that happen where you have to be the broker of resources. What is resource? What is resource? Now, I'm not trying to preach to the choir, but there is a method to my madness for reading this. A resource is a stock or supply of money, material, staff, and other assets that can be drawn on by a person. That means they're coming to you and they're pulling from you. That's what they want to do. That's what they do. That's what students do. Guess what? That's what parents want to do too. They want to draw from you. So don't feel uncomfortable when parents are bombarding your space. They look at you as professionals, as the know. It's like when we go to the hospital and we see the doctor and we're like, oh, my toe hurt. Look at my toe. Look at it. A place of strength. This is a place of strength. Place of strength and wisdom. And like I said, you can't make a withdrawal without making a deposit. Now, I had a friend, her name was TT. I met TT in college. And TT, to me, is the epitome of a resource. And one day, and I've been playing music. That was my first career. So I've been playing music for about 20 plus years. And the piano, the organ, voice. And matter of fact, in a place like this, the church for about 20, 25 years. So that's my heart. And we were in New Orleans. Anybody been to New Orleans? You need to go there. You need to get some of that food. And we were hanging out and we were riding in the car and it was hot. I mean, it was hot. TT had this bag. She always carried a bag with her. Something like this. She had a bag. I'm like, okay. And we were like just sitting in the car, waiting on somebody. And we were like, man, we're just thirsty, but the water, it costs money. And it costs a lot of money where we were. It was like, I don't know, $5 a bottle or something. It was like, oh no, we were young at the time, the people that were with us and everything. And TT said, I got water. I got water. She pulls out a cold bottle of water. Not unusual, right? Not unusual. She pulled out a cold bottle of water. And then she's like, do y'all want something to eat? And we were like, yeah. So she pulled out like some crackers. She pulled out like a Snicker bar or something. And then she was like, but hold on. I think I got a sandwich too. She reached in her bag and pulled out a hot fish sandwich. Like, how do you have a cold bottle of water and a hot fish? No, not warm. I'm talking about a hot fish sandwich in her bag. That is your example of a broker of resources. What do you have in your bag? I'm not trying to be Capital One, but anything. But what? I don't want to get in trouble. What do you have in your bag? How can we become a broker of resources? How can we do that? Before we do that, let's build some foundation, and then we're going to take off and we're going to get more and more into some details. What does this mean? Do with, do to. Do with, do to. Has anyone ever heard of those two phrases? Do with or do to. Okay, so in the world of family engagement, family outreach, family involvement, families on our campuses, specifically our Title I campuses, you'll see more of that, family outreach and family relations. We tend to inform our parents as opposed to include them. Inform, include. So we send letters, we send all sorts of communication, we send a whole gambit of stuff, and parents are, some of them, they just ignore it. They're like, okay, I can't do it. That's too many emails. I can't do it anymore. It's Jupiter. I don't want to see Jupiter no more. Like, please, like, no. Platform, well, it looks a little better. It's too many messages. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them because you're doing too. And the best way for people to learn is when they're involved in the matter. It's like when you're learning a new language. I've always wanted to learn Spanish. I haven't learned it yet. It's because I haven't included myself in the space. Every person that has ever learned a language can tell you, stop speaking the other language and engulf yourself in the language that you're learning. And that's what happens. That's what happens. Do with, do to. Do to is a one way of messaging. It's just one way. It just goes one way. The parents may not understand it, but we still ship out all this information to them. Do with is shared messaging. It's where we do it together with them. We talk about it with them. We explain it to them. And it's buy-in from them. That creates buy-in. So you're almost like a seller, so to speak, but more of a customer service person because you're letting them know you're a part of this. Come on, what can I do to serve you? What can I do to help you? Now this guy here, this is TT's cousin. This is Broker Bob. Broker Bob. I told you I'm a big family guy. This is TT's cousin right here, Broker Bob. And he's chilling, but he has a lot of resources, as you can see. He has a lot of resources. He knows about a lot. I see a house right there. I'm looking for a house, so I might need to call him up, see if he can help me out because this real estate market is going crazy. But how can we become a broker of resources? So Broker Bob says, connect, communicate, and be compassionate. Connect, communicate, and be compassionate. Now, Broker Bob and TT, they had a conversation one day and they got into it really bad. They were arguing and Broker Bob was like, look, I do all these things and this is the way you need to set it up. You need to have it organized and tailored out, you know, and TT was like, no, you just need to be ready. You just need to be ready. You need to be creative. You need to be ready. And then Broker Bob was like, well, what do you mean be ready? She was like, well, True story. I went to this airport and I was flying to California, and we did. I flew with TT to California, me and the rest of the choir. And we got to the airport to board to get ready to go, but we were checking in our bags. So we got ready to check in our bags, and the guy that was checking in TT's bag, he said, ma'am, what is that in your bag? Like, it weighs like 100 pounds. Well, she had like 3 bags. One she was carrying, and there was another one, and then she had the big one. And he scanned it again, and he called his friends over. And he was like, I cannot believe this. And we was like, what's wrong? And she had Snicker bars. She had candy. She had bread. And he was like, oh my God, what is that? There's bones. Is that somebody? No, it was chicken. She was like, no, that's barbecue chicken. She had barbecue chicken in her suitcase. To this day, if I call any of my college friends, all I have to say is TT and the barbecue chicken. We would just fall out laughing. We automatically know the barbecue chicken. She was prepared. She was prepared. Now, I don't think you need to be that prepared, but I think you get the idea. TT and Broker Bob are giving us some ideas of how not to just be a do to person, but a do with. I'm thinking ahead. I'm being proactive about what I think my parents need. What do they need? All right, so let's jump into this. Broker Bob has a cultivating strategy, and he wants to give it to you. This is his strategy. And of course, you can see his award here. You know, he has the green thumb. Cultivating a relationship is like nurturing a plant. You're tilling the ground, you're planting the seed, you're watering that seed, and you're monitoring the development, and you are harvesting what comes up. So tilling the ground, meaning to initiate contact. We're initiating contact. So now let's put line upon line, precept upon precept for those that have that type of mind. My mind does not necessarily work like this. My mind is off the cuff mind. I see it. I can detect it. I'm very intuitive in feeling. For some of those that need to have a hierarchy, this would be the simplest way. I love life because it's perfect and beautiful and true. This is how nurturing happens. You till the ground, initiate contact, and then you shovel it out. What are you shoveling out? All of that gook that could have happened last year, all of the stuff that may be happening in their family that's maybe reflecting into the classroom. You're shoveling all that stuff out. All of the ideas that your students may have about teachers, may have about adults, school, you're shoveling all that out when you're tilling the ground. Tilling the ground is not an easy thing. Anybody has a green thumb in here? You have a green thumb? Nobody in here? Me neither.
Negative green thumb.
Yeah, negative, straight up. I can put water in the, I can put water in there. That's it. Plant the seed. Your words are seeds. You're planting seeds. Purposeful communication. Then you water the seed. This is your support and your help. Monitoring development is continued support and help. And then you have harvest. Why do you think harvest is at the end of this list? Why do you think harvest is at the end of this list?
When you harvest something, it's something you continually do over each year or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, seasonal. It is seasonal. Definitely it's seasonal. Thank you for that. Anybody would like to piggyback on that?
Well, I think all these things are necessary before you can get to that ultimate goal of the harvest.
Yes.
So you're not going to just be able to skip to that without doing the work beforehand.
So be mindful when we're asking our families to do things that we've never helped them with, that we've never deposited any type of information or any type of engagement with them. Be mindful when we do that. All right, let's jump into this a little bit deeper. All right, so as you can see, there is a kind of like my little icon, and you'll see these, they may change. This right here, we're tilling the ground. So you know where we are when we're tilling the ground. We're initiating contact. So we're going to have a few types of those. As you can see, shovels. We're shoveling some stuff out of the way, and you may have to do that as you begin the year. Greet and smile, listen and nod. I learned that at an early age, and I still teach students to do that today. They're like, Mr. Doughty, I just get so bored. I was like, you may be in another world. Just do this. In your mind, you're like, okay, I got to wash some clothes. I got to cook the food. I got a little homework. Okay, I got to grade those papers. I got to do that. But you're like, it's respect. It's honor. Like, this all it is. Greet and smile, listen and nod. Non-example. Acknowledging the issue over the parent or the student. I know that we have an issue. I know that we have a matter at hand. But let's make sure that we acknowledge the parent and the student over the issue. Let them know that you care. I care more about you than I care about this situation. Your well-being means more to me. All right. Learn their names. Put some respect on my name. I'm sorry. I just switched up to when I'm working with students at the Boys and Girls Club. Okay. That is like it's a rap song. And that part of the rap song is so potent to me because it talks about in depth, my name is all I have. Like, that's important to me. Learn my name. If you don't know it, ask me. How do I want to be addressed? Ask me. Non-example, stumbling over their name without asking them how to say it correctly. Just something simple as that. That's the hinge to the door when you're talking to an adult. Put some respect on my name. Tell your kids that. They'll laugh. State your intention or invention. We're still tilling the ground. State your intention or your invention. If it's needed to be, if it's need be interjected into the conversation. Non-example, stating only the facts. Stating only the facts. I'm pressuring on that because we want to make sure that the parents and the students stay more important than the issue at hand. That's going to keep the relationship tight. It's going to keep it healthy when you do that because you're letting them know that they mean the most to you. Anybody ever seen A-Team? I'm an 80s kid, I told y'all that. With Mr. T and Murdoch. This is a foundation for communication. If there are 3 things that you should communicate, it should be in these 3 realms: activities, accomplishments, and academics. If you ever forget, what should I be talking to my parents about? Start with activities that's happening in the class, accomplishments of the students, and academics. What's happening in the educational process, what's happening with their grades, things of that nature. All right, let's get started with this part. So as you can see our icon there, we're pouring seeds. We're planting seeds now. So we're initiating. How do you plant this seed? How do you get this thing started? When you receive a roster or you receive your schedule, call. Set you some time aside, especially for lower school or grammar school grades, because that's where it works a little bit best since most of you guys have self-contained class. So you will call the family, contact the family, let them hear your voice, let them know I'm here and I'm here to stay. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. So you're planting that seed. All right? Notification. You're giving them notification of accomplishments, but also you're giving them notification of when something's happening that's off, that's wrong. Now, please go by the guidelines and the protocols of your admin or your district, or I'm saying your district, but I mean your actual campus-wide. So, because this right here, when I worked in behavior, this would be the disconnect a lot of times, because the parent would say this line: why didn't you call me? Anybody ever heard that one? Why didn't you tell me? If you would have told me last week, I would have nipped that in the bud. But you wait until 2-3 weeks, and now you pull me to the school, you pull me off my job, and then it escalates. Okay? So let's make sure we contact the parent according to our guidelines and protocols at our schools and identify what's happening. And of course, you can see waiting too long can exacerbate or even create problems. Observation. The parents want to know. They want to see into your classroom. They want to see into your classroom. They want to see what's happening on campus. They want to see. So give them a visual. Put a window. Like, you know, when you go looking around the mall, or I'm saying mall like I'm an 80s kid. But when you when you go into Ross or you go into TJ Maxx or something, you pass by the window and make a window so that parents can see in. And then you don't have to worry about some of the things, some of the backlash that could happen because they're already seeing it. Hey, it's in the newsletter. It's in the email. Or you found out when we had that math activity, or we had a reading and you were here. You saw it. So they want to see. Parents want to know what is happening in the classroom. We're still planting C. Continuation. Here we go. This right here is big. It's small, but it's big. It's called integrity. It's called integrity. Do what's right even though no one is looking. Do what you said that you were going to do. You told the parents that you were going to do this, and you didn't do it. That don't fly. And like one of my teachers said in high school, that dog don't hunt. It ain't going to hunt. Now we're switching to where we're supporting, we're watering this relationship. Utilization. Present information in a useful form and language. When I was dean at Founders Classical Academy of Mesquite, I was the dean of family outreach. So the communications I sent out or anything I did with them, parent toolbox or whatever, I had to make sure that I had an interpreter or I had the communications translated into Spanish so that we both would be able to communicate. We both will be able to communicate. So what's right to you may not be right to them. Okay, so you may have written something up and you made it look pretty and everything, but it may not be understandable to them. So you want it to be understandable to them so that they can get it. Because when they get it, you got it. The 10 Commandments of being compassionate. The 10 Commandments of being compassionate. And this is our last piece. And we're going to open up for some Q&A. Compassion is something that's dear to me because it says that I sit myself aside. Not that you don't, but you sit yourself aside not to just look at the academic parts and placement of the student, but you're looking into the soul and into the mind, into their hearts, and you're being empathetic about what's happening with them and their growth the growth that's happening, the development that's happening with them. You want to be a part of that. And we do that by leading with good news. Leading with good news. We know the sandwich method. I think it's tried and true. You start off with something good and you get into the meatier issues and then you end with something good. Using language wisely, we just talked about that. Ask questions about the child. Parents love that. How are they doing? Aren't they a part of that dojo? They do karate or martial arts. How's that going? Ask about something that has nothing to do with education. Something totally different. It's going to pull the parents in closer to you. Smile at the child. More so, smile at the child when the parent is standing with you. When you're talking to the parent, make sure that you're smiling at their child, even if there's a situation at hand. Because what you're communicating non-verbally is that I don't want to have nothing to do with your child. I just want you to get them right because they're bothering my class. They're bothering my lesson. Well, you just created distance between you and that parent. That's why I said keep the parent and the student above the issue. No matter what issue it is, let them know that their student, that their child is worth more to you than the content that you're teaching. Let the parents know they can help. Let the parents know they can help. Parents have all sorts of ideas and creativities and professions that they can offer to you. But you have to be willing to be open and let them know that they can help so they can come in and connect with you. Because this is definitely is not just a dichotomy. This is a trichotomy, and it works together in sync. It works together in sync between you, the parent, and the student. Has anybody have had parents like connect with you in the classroom and share their profession with you? Does anybody have a quick story about a parent that came in and shared something and the benefit that was created there?
I mentioned I'm the orchestra director at Founders Frisco, and parents did a construction project for us. We could not afford to, I guess, or have the resources to purchase instrument shelves, and we had a couple of parents who, over the course of last summer, came in and spent 2 months constructing instrument shelves. So we had those for cheaper because they had some carpentry experience.
And believe me, when I walked into the classroom and I saw the shelves, I didn't think nothing of it because I thought the district had built them, And they were like, "Oh, that was built by our teachers. I mean, that was built by our parents." And then the parents even went further and they were building all sorts of stuff on our campus. We're like,
when I initially kind of wanted that to happen, I asked for the resources from the school and said, "Hey, can you buy me some wood?" And I'll kind of get in there and try and do this myself. And then asked those parents for some help and said, "Hey, can y'all help me do this?" And they sort of said, "We know more than you do," and they kind of stepped in and started doing the work, and I was just overwhelmed by what they did for us. So it was just without even having to ask for it, they did all of that.
sound like there have been some cultivating of relationships there. Explain by the way, the band and orchestra at Frisco is like, anyway, just wanted to plug that in. Explain your instructional decisions. We talked about that earlier. Invite parents to participate in making some decisions. I know that seems a little bit scary. Use your discretion. Talk to your headmaster about some of those things, but I think it would be good to let them in on some parts. Thank parents for their support, sharing in the success. They all start with C. How can I become a broker of resources?
Connect.
Yes.
Communicate. Compassionate.
And you can swing this many ways. It's right there on the screen. And now you can harvest. And now you can harvest from your parents, and you can team up with them and do all sorts of things to really grow your class and grow your school community. And hopefully, if you do really good, then you'll have this type of produce, and I can come over and eat. We can harvest some watermelon. And this is what you want. You want what you cultivate to grow into something that's sweet, something that's beautiful, something that's life-giving to everybody that's in the vicinity and in the placement of that conversation. So cultivating parent-teacher relationships. Question, comments, or concerns?
Okay, so what about, I have a particular scenario in mind. Everything you said seems, great, and I love it. But I'm in a situation where, this was last year, I had a parent who I thought I had a good relationship. Everything seemed really well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, in an incident where the child did not perform well, I got strong resistance, strong backlash to the point of name calling, disrespect.
From the parent?
Yes.
Oh,
from the
okay.
parent. And, and it just threw me off guard, because I didn't expect that from the child or the parent, promoting this at all. And so I naturally I dealt with it in a professional way and just, did what I best, could. Where does the cultivation part happen in the 3 C's, where there's a fire breaking out in this garden that we're cultivating? How do we tend to that?
What's your position at the school?
Well, right now I'm an assistant headmaster. I actually
Oh.
moved up from teaching to assistant headmaster.
Okay, so this happened when you were a
This
teacher.
was last year when I was a teacher.
Okay, got it. Okay, we're in the same boat.
Yes.
We're in the same boat.
Yes.
Great. As a teacher, what I've suggested is, number one, keep it objective when things are heated, because people are thinking in their amygdala, so they are in survival mode. They're in survival mode, so you cannot rationalize with a person when they're in their survival mode. So you're being objective. The other thing is making sure that we have a clear understanding of the case, like the parents having a clear understanding of the case. You only can control your own behaviors. You can't control the behaviors of the parent. You cannot control the behaviors of the parent. So rehashing, going through that whole situation, that whole scenario, making sure that it's mapped out and it's sequential, like real time with the parent. This is what happened. These are the grades. This is the work. Having evidence for that, and then making that objective decision and move on. Now, did we put the parent and the student over? Yes, we did, because in the moment they were upset, and in the moment that they were feeling like, this teacher doesn't care about me, I'm taking you back to the situation, sequential. Now, how do you put icing on the cake? What you do is you say, how would you like it if and then this is nothing extra, how would you like it if I have them to become a part of the tutoring program? Or how would you like it if they could meet me at recess time one-on-one? I'll spend time with them. Nothing extra outside of what you usually do, is just that you're saying it to them. They didn't hear it the first time.
Right.
So you're rehearsing the things that are already in place, but you're telling them at face value, because sometimes, especially when their students are doing bad with their academics, and then if a behavior issue breaks out, it's kind of like everything is gone to the dogs. So you have to bring it back in with that. And then you just restate what you've said in the beginning. And hopefully you said it in the beginning. We have these components in place to support your student. And you rehash those components. And most of the time they'll be like, oh yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. I said that at the, meet the teacher. Said that at open house. So that would be my idea to handle that situation. Objectivity is, in a heated situation, is the best, and then you restate what's already in place. And if you're a teacher, go to your headmasters, follow their guidelines, because I'm sure there's a hierarchy of communication. If the parent doesn't agree with the teacher, then the teacher and the headmaster will meet with the parent. If the parent doesn't agree with them, then you'll switch out, and the teacher and the headmaster will meet with the parent. And if that doesn't, it just keep going until we get to a point where hopefully we don't make it to RES in Louisville. Any other question, comments, or concerns?
It's a little off topic-ish, but as a paraprofessional, we are not allowed to have an extensive relationship with the parents, but we spend a lot of time with their children, and say we're doing carpool and everything, we do have that minor interaction with them, and they're asking, how's my kid? How is so-and-so? How are they doing? And we're not really allowed to be like, oh, well, they need to, do this and do that. Is there a better way to come about that situation than, I'm sorry, I cannot discuss your child with you?
I used to be a para, so I definitely understand what you're saying. You would have to keep it general, very, very general, and you have to take the lead from your teacher and from your admin. I wish I could give you more, but I would keep that conversation general. And I think the parents will understand where you're coming from. Especially, you may have to say, I'm held to FERPA or whatever. So yeah, just keep it general and follow the guidelines from your teacher, SPED teacher, and or admin. That's a different scope. So you're protected. If you do say that, you're protected. It's okay. I mean, doing it in a very compassionate way. I'm sorry I'm not able to talk about grades or happenings or things of that nature, behaviors. But if you would, I could put you in contact with my teacher, my special ed teacher, So they would understand, they would appreciate that, especially when you're talking SPED, 504, probably even RTI. I mean, it's not as official as SPED and 504, but we want to make sure that our information stays confidential as much as possible on a need-to-know basis, Any question, comments, or concerns, or?
Okay, hope I can say this, express myself clearly. Okay, can you speak a little bit to, like, even what you said about inviting parents in to help? Not even necessarily in the classroom, but just like the fine line or the balance between with teachers, and I'm 504, so it's a little different with me, but with maintaining those boundaries and still inviting parents in to help, because we all know there are those parents,
Mm-hmm.
who you give them this much, then you're gonna get an email, 3 times a day, and they're gonna wanna talk to you 3 times a day. And with teachers, we can kind of do that, but with teachers, you have so many students, they just can't. I think sometimes teachers are afraid to open up that door because they just don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, does that make sense or not?
I would take an activity that you do in the classroom that's a closed-ended activity, meaning that, say like you're doing like some type of math event. If a parent could come in and help with that, that's closed-ended. The event is over. There's no reason for further conversation about that. I'm not necessarily saying or supporting communication between the teacher and the parent in lesson planning.
Well,
Not
I think
that.
I'm more asking, like, not in helping, I don't mean like coming and helping in the classroom, but
Okay.
more like just that relationship and how, just their concerns about their children, or just, you know what I'm saying, those high
Yes.
maintenance parents who like are gonna email every time their kid gets
Mhm.
married, or every time their kid comes home and says, I got a 60 on my homework and I don't think it was fair. Do you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
no,
Like that.
I get what you're saying there. I think that's a slightly different scenario, because those parents are proactive in and of themselves. It's not like you have to till the ground and plant the seed. They're going to till their own ground and plant their own seed. With that being said, I would just take it one conversation at a time. One conversation at a time. I wouldn't try to make it anything more than what it is. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build a community for the whole school. We're building a community starting from our relationships with the students, with the parents, the families, the classroom, then out into the hallways, then out into the lobby, then out into the parking lot, out across the street. That's how we're building it. So we have to go one conversation at a time, one email at a time, especially with the parents that are proactive, and pull them close to you. Those that are very gifted at communication, keep them close to you. Like, let them get a little close to you, as not necessarily with the classroom, but you as a person. Like, show them that you're real, that you're a person. Like, I'm not just here for a paycheck. Of course you're not here for a paycheck. I would definitely like handle it in that manner, not to take on too much. Not to take on too much. Yeah.
Quick comment, or maybe not quick. So I think on Friday I called like 40 parents, 30 or 40 parents, trying to figure out, like, are you coming back to school this year? We require all our kids to do band and orchestra in middle school as part of as the music class. And I guess my challenge is, it's like, hey, welcome to Founders. Hey, you got to go buy an instrument, or you got to go rent an instrument. And then all of a sudden, it's like immediate. I don't like you because you just told me I had to do something. And I'm trying to build in my class to build this like culture, because I'm used to my middle school and high school I went to when I was a kid. It's like this big culture of, band was like a family.
Oh yeah.
It was huge because we spent so much time together. Football games till 2 in the morning, and riding on the buses, and the parents were always involved, and booster program, and I'm trying to build that program too, but it's hard. So for me to share to take my experience I had when I was a kid,
Yeah.
my parents had, and try to let parents know that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not just trying to tell you this is mandatory, you have to do this. I don't know, maybe pick your brain on like how do we
That right there.
just the phone calls?
No. What you just showed a piece of yourself right there. We're human, and the parents need to know we're human, and the parents need to know that we see that they're human, and that's the whole part of relationship. The word relationship. We're looking at each other from a realistic standpoint. Like, what's reality? The reality is my heart goes out for your students to see the beauty of music, and that's where I'm headed to. And your verbiage, it may not say that in those exact words, but while you're communicating, let that part show. Let some of that show. I'm here. I never meant any harm. I honor the fact that your child is here, and this is what we're trying to do. Give them goals. Give them the perspective of what you're doing and where you're going. It's kind of like when I saw the cheerleaders, and I saw all the cheerleaders on this, and this is my first time seeing this at Frisco, and I saw, led by Miss Chrissy Jackson. I'm getting everybody's name. I just got here. But she was phenomenal. She had those girls out, and the parents were like filming their kids and stuff. And it goes for band, orchestra, sports, and everything. Coaches can do no wrong. You know why? Because at the end of the day, like, I want your students prepared for life. That's what you're trying to do. You're preparing them for life. And then your verbiage and what you like, what I'm releasing now, this is all I know to release. I don't know how to release anything else but a heart of compassion for what people can do, what people can be, where people can go. When you show parents that, you will have them eating out of your hand every time. Kind of like I have y'all eating out of my hand right now, you know.
I'm not an orchestra teacher or anything, but I don't know what you're doing, but the lady at our school who does the orchestra, she meets with the parents at the end of the year, of the prior year, who are going to be going to orchestra and band, and so she has like an hour session of what are some expectations for that, so the rental of the instrument, and then the book that you need to buy. All of this happens like the end of the year before they go into it, so parents have that time to plan in the summertime. With COVID, I don't think it happened last year, it was more online stuff, but that might be a concrete thing to help you, and that's really very important.
it's pretty extensive. We do that pretty extensively.
Yeah.
There's a lot of communication that goes unread. A lot of meetings that go unattended. And then we have the new students who.
Thank you for sharing.
And then you have the new students. I called so many kids' parents this week who said, "Oh, you're the first person from the school that's ever called us." Like, I'm the band director, you know. And they're like, "Oh, tell us about your program. What?" And I'm like, building these things up. Hey, we got the orchestra. They can play the violin. They can be in percussion. They can do this. And they're just, a lot of them are eager to get signed up for something.
Yes.
And then a lot of them are like, "I don't want my kid in band or orchestra." I'm like, "Well, I can tell you how, that's part of our deal." They're like, "Oh, they didn't tell us. We might just go unenroll, you know." So I had both ways. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that we could talk about further when we get. Yeah, it's good.
I have two quick things. They might be more technical, but I don't know at our school. I think that the parents don't get the roster till the day before meet the teacher. Is that correct?
So they find out about their teacher prior to meet the teacher. So the week prior, they will find out. They will hear from their child's homeroom teacher that they are going to be their teacher.
Okay, so then we will be calling them. Or,
So-
because then, we don't want to call before they obviously know.
Yeah,
that
we'll
teacher.
talk about that in more detail.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in more detail.
And that goes back to the guidelines, protocols of your admin. Contact could be in so many different forms and so many different ways at different schools. But nonetheless, the idea and the theory is that we're initiating contact. We want the parents to know that we're there, and they need to feel that through a call, through an email, through Jupiter, chat, video, whatever. We need to get that in there so that they know that they are a part of the educational process. Any more? I want to let you guys go before time. And we have 3 minutes.
I just want to say how much I appreciate what you're saying, because it was such a challenge last year, not having the parents in the classroom, always feeling like there was this barrier between the teacher and the parent. It was very challenging not being able to see them face to face and engage in that way. And I teach kindergarten, so I feel it more than most.
Yes.
In terms of just identifying with them, this is so very important. And to speaking to your concerns, just because I'm an old teacher and I can
Say it.
it's very disheartening when you get those parents that feel that way, but all you can do is just express your concern for the child.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to move on, looking at the good, true, and beautiful, I guess, the parents that did respond to you in a way that helps you to feel like you are doing a good thing and you are making a difference. Unfortunately, there always will be those who will be looking to come at you. They just are, and you just have to be genuine and say, I care for your child, and I'm so sorry that this happened.
Yes, ma'am. We never know where parents are coming from. We never know what parents have encountered or are experiencing when they come to your classroom or when they come to a parent-teacher conference. You never know. So just always keep in mind that I am the broker of resource. I got this. And you do. You do.
We love the child.
Yes,
so
we do.
We're trying to help the child be better. So if this relationship is not going to work, and sometimes it's not, then we just have to build this one as much as we can. That's all we can. That's all we can do.
And a lot of times, that's the way you get to the parent. Mm-hmm. That's the way you can get to the parent. Yep.
One of the best pieces of advice I got when I was in the classroom was always give your why. Whatever you're doing in the classroom, give the
Yes.
parents the why. And that just negates half of your problems right there with parents, because they'll understand your heart.
Yes.
We're talking about with him. And I have found in every area I've been in, if I give the why, even in raising my own kids, we're doing it this way, and this is the why.
Yep.
No more discussion.
I
You
get
can't
it.
sit out with your parents, but I can say
No,
with
I
kids.
I 100% agree with that. State your intention. Like, be straight, be compassionate, but be straight. This is why. This is where we're going. This is the goal. And stand on that. All right? So, I think we're good. 11:15. You guys have been a great class. Thank y'all so much. Y'all are dismissed.